An asylum seeker who only just arrived on the island of Ireland 2 months ago was arrested last week for stealing two swords from a charity shop he was volunteering at, and he was also arrested because he was chanting about beheading people. He had some really interesting graffiti spray painted on the wall of the hostel where he was staying at, and his lawyer had some very interesting excuses in court for his behaviour. I was going to make this video the other day and I didn't get around to it, but I feel in light of what happened in Germany, this case is more pertinent than ever to discuss. And I've included some information in the following video that you probably aren't aware of but need to know. And I've raised some questions that I'd like your answers to in the comments below this video. On the island of Ireland the other day, a so-called Jordanian asylum seeker who had only just arrived here 2 months ago was arrested after he stole katana swords from a charity shop he volunteered at. There's some really shocking additional details here, and this man will likely be let loose at some point in the very near future. In light of what took place in Germany at the Christmas market in Berlin, and in light of this man's clear intent, it is important we ask ourselves, what could happen if he does come across the border when he's released? And if he does so before his case goes to trial, will he easily be sent back to a different jurisdiction? Ponder all of that as you listen to the horrifying details of this case. So this happened just 90 minutes from Dublin. It happened in Belfast, and people may say that's the UK, and to that I say, it happened on the island of Ireland, as I've already said. It's a small country, and this jihadist can easily make his way to any county here. He appeared in court a few days ago. The court heard that, quote, police claim, which is a very strange use of words, that 32-year-old Abdallah Matieh wrote Arabic graffiti at his hostel accommodation, which, when translated, revealed that it said the hands of thieves should be cut off. Of course, as we know, this is a rule of Sharia law. This graffiti was discovered after he tried to steal the katana swords from the charity shop, whilst also chanting about beheading people. It appears he was being put up at possibly a backpackers hostel, and I'm sure that the paying customers were delighted when they found out who they were paying to stay alongside. Abdallah also stole some golf clubs. Perhaps he was planning on some recreational golfing along with the planned decapitations, perhaps. Who knows? It is claimed that this man is Jordanian, but I have strong reason to believe that this may not be true and that the establishment is being deliberately dishonest. I'll talk more about that in a minute and why it matters. But to return now to Abdallah for a minute, astonishingly, he has only been charged with one count of theft so far. Matieh denies the theft charge and therefore presumably won't ever be concerned with cutting off his own hands. He claimed he had permission to take all of the items from the shop where he worked as a volunteer, and with a completely straight face, his defence lawyer Garrett Green said the swords were kept as souvenirs. Also, with no hint of joking, Green argued that Abdallah had simply been at prayer and posed no threat to anyone else at the accommodation. Right, so we are taking that to mean that the chanting about beheading people is supposed to be part of Muslim prayer. This is their claim, not mine. His lawyer said he does accept that he had written the graffiti, but states that it was passages from the Quran. Sure, that's okay then, isn't it? There's nothing to see here. The judge has ordered a mental health assessment and has detained the asylum seeker until that's complete. But what happens thereafter? Given past cases that come to mind, it's not likely he will be detained indefinitely, and there's no hint of him being deported back to where he came from. Just on the topic of the mentally ill card that may get played here, severely mentally ill people who are, let's say, having an episode of psychosis tend not to deny or hide what they've done. But people who are just bad or evil will evade punishment by making up lies. It's also worth noting that it's not wise nor our responsibility to take mentally ill people into this country. If indeed he is mentally ill, which he probably isn't. In any case, is he worth keeping here? Does he deserve to be here? Is he a danger to other people? And if he is mentally ill and commits a mass murder, is that justifiable? And if so, how? As I said before, show me an Irish person who deals with their mental illness by using jihadist modus operandi against innocent strangers. A quick word on the charity shop. Asylum seekers get helped to obtain these volunteer positions, usually to help them with their asylum claims. There's no background check, of course, and regarding the swords, it seems a little bit insane that a charity shop would sell proper swords, but most swords 50 centimetres or less are legal in the UK, so there you have it. Now, as I said earlier, it is claimed he is a Jordanian national, and perhaps he is, but what many don't realise is that King Abdullah of Jordan is giving Palestinians Jordanian passports in an effort to then get them to leave the country. Let me explain. You see, the UK and other countries are not accepting Palestinians due to a heightened security risk pertaining to Hamas. And so they're piling into neighbouring Jordan, where they are quite simply not wanted, even though it's culturally and religiously very similar to Palestine. Of course, our country here in Ireland doesn't have any such a rule about taking Palestinians. Taoiseach Simon Harris met with King Abdullah of Jordan in May 2024, and King Abdullah is understood to have underscored the need for international community to step up efforts to increase humanitarian assistance, while Simon Harris promised Ireland's full support. What this means is that King Abdullah wanted Harris to take Palestinians, and so he is doing exactly that, but they come with Jordanian passports. The UK would not have accepted the man that I'm talking about here if he did have a Palestinian passport. And in the Republic of Ireland, we now have an 1800% increase in Jordanians coming to Ireland in just over a year, which coincides with the Hamas-Israeli war. In August, it was reported the highest number of asylum applications in the state were set to come from Jordan. Given the case I spoke about in a video the other day regarding a war criminal being welcomed here and living here for 20 years and getting Irish citizenship, it is possible that some of these men who are coming in could be terrorists evading capture, which is why the UK and other countries are banning them from coming in the first place. Also in August, a so-called Jordanian man, aged 22, who had only arrived in the south of Ireland, was charged with sexual assault and false imprisonment of a woman he followed off a Lewis in an affluent Dublin suburb. She told Gardaí she was thrown and held on the ground and bitten on her face and lips. And just to go back to the point I made earlier about the possibility of Abdallah making his way here to the Republic, this is very possible if he is released soon. And even if he is sentenced thereafter, what punishment will he receive for theft? Perhaps not even a custodial term. Recently, an accused asylum seeker killer did make his way here from Belfast. Ahmed Abderrahman, originally from Somalia, was arrested in Dublin on the 9th of October, and the case against him will also be heard in Dublin, presumably because he can't just be sent back to the north of Ireland. This asylum seeker is accused of the murder of Mary Ward, who was discovered with neck wounds to her body on October 1st, 2024. So you can see, when a crime is committed up north, the accused person will find it very tempting and moreover very easy to flee south. So what are your thoughts on everything I've just told you? And when you look at Germany today, do you feel like what's happening there is far removed from our reality? Or is it inching closer to home? Is it already here, in fact? Do you feel safe and protected on this island of Ireland?